Ladies and gentlemen, the following match is the Kurt Angle Invitational Rumble.
Right, Hendry and Williams back and forth here, but what psychological state must Joe Hendry be in?
By Joe Hendry!
No, wait.
He's out! Carter is out! Joe Hendry!
The winner of this match, and facing Kurt Angle, the local hero, Joe Hendry!
My name is Joe Hendry. I'm a professional wrestler, and I've been a professional wrestler for 3 years now. In fact, my match with Kurt Angle at WCPW Refused to Lose on October 6th, that will be the 3-year anniversary of me being a professional wrestler. I got into professional wrestling a little bit later than most. I didn't have Sky TV or, I didn't have cable and Sky, so I didn't really get to see professional wrestling a whole lot. But when I did see it, I was at my cousin's house and I just kind of caught bits and pieces, so I didn't really engage with it fully until I was about 13 years old, and it was in the peak of the Attitude Era, and it was The Rock, it was Stone Cold, it was Triple H, and it was Kurt Angle. And to sit here and say that I'm going to be facing Kurt Angle live on iPay-per-view, WCPW Refused to Lose, October 6th, it's impossible for me to sit here and put into words how much that means to me. But the problem with these things is that everyone knows that I'm to sit here and say that I respect Kurt Angle and I look up to him and it's an honour to face him, and it is, it obviously is. To me, Kurt Angle is the absolute greatest in-ring competitor that ever stepped into a professional wrestling ring. The desire that he had to become an Olympic gold medalist, to become WWE champion, is the same fire and determination that I have to beat him. My training camp is composed of 4 main components. I've got my strength and conditioning that I do by myself in the gym. I have my amateur wrestling, those hours that I'm putting in on the mat. I've got my professional wrestling training. But not only that, I have my functional training as well, and I'm talking flipping tires, I'm talking about lifting barrels above my head, I'm talking about hitting the bag, functional training. Because I want to be the most well-rounded fighter that I can be to take out Kurt Angle. my goal is to be the best in the business. I went in on basically my first session, and my trainers, I said to them, you know, I went to them with very specific goals of what I wanted to achieve, and they were ridiculous. And I said, you know, I'd heard about tryouts and things like that, and I says, I want to get a WWE tryout. How do I do that? And they should have laughed at me. They should have said, don't do it. But they didn't. And at Source Wrestling School, Mikey Whiplash and Damo, who, you know, I've had my issues with in WCPW, but the man was a big part of my training, you know. Both of those guys, Robbie Brookside, Marty Jones, they were my trainers, and they got me to a point where I managed to achieve that goal in my first year, which was insane to me, you know. And when that happened, I think that's when friends and family realized that, like, oh right, okay, this could actually be on, you know. So being a professional wrestler, people often wonder, why did you start amateur wrestling? There's no money in it. It's not going to boost your brand. Why are you doing it? Getting into amateur wrestling, it's not about money, it's not about boosting my brand, it's about testing myself. You know, most people think, you know, getting into a sport at 26, 27, just starting, you know, you've got no hope in hell. But to me, I just don't think like that. I don't work like that, and no one should think like that. And I'm proof that if anyone has a goal, they should go for it. There's no such thing as too late. I always thought throughout my 20s, it's too late to do this, it's too late to do that, it's too late to do this, it's too late to that. It's not. I started professional wrestling when I was turning 25. I'm now 28, and I'm facing Kurt Angle in the main event of a pay-per-view. That should be inspiration for anyone out there that thinks that it's too late for them. And I applied the same mentality to get into amateur wrestling. I want to compete at the Commonwealth Games, and you know, that's going to be a big ask for someone that new in the sport, but I feel that I have it within me to do that. It's about pushing myself, and I'm making sure that I'm on that mat, just grinding it out day in and day out, getting the experience, getting the rounds in, and I feel that it totally supplements my professional wrestling as well. I feel that I have a control over my opponent, and the people that I train with are really, you know, a big part of the reason I am where I am. You know, one of the guys in the gym that I train in is a 9 times British champion, and we've got, you know, several Commonwealth veterans. We've got 3 or 4. There's a guy I'm training with, Jules. He is, you know, one of the best international heavyweights around. He's, you know, like up at 115 kilos, and you know, which is obviously he's heavier than I am, but he's still fast and he's agile. And I'm training against him. I'm training against the lighter weight guys who have got the speed on me. So I'm getting well-rounded competition, hard rounds in with these guys, battles, so that the goal is I go through hell in the gym so that I can go out there and enjoy my professional wrestling bouts. Make no mistake about it, I want to compete at the Commonwealth Games, and next year, 2017, is going to be the start of, you know, qualifying for that qualification year. So, you know, that's when the hard work truly begins. So this may seem like I'm climbing a mountain, and I am when I'm facing Kurt Angle, but I've got the next chapter lined up. I want to be the absolute best, and if there's anyone who's laid down the blueprint for being successful in amateur wrestling and professional wrestling, it's Kurt Angle. I've had other goals in my life and things like that, and there were points where the truth is, when I was younger, I had 2 goals, and it was number 1 to be a professional wrestler, and number 2 to be a musician, you know. But number 1 wasn't achievable. Number 1 was like, I wasn't big enough to be a wrestler. I just didn't think it was at all possible. So I thought, you know, I'll go with the safer option of becoming a professional musician, do that for a living. So I really, from the age of 15 to probably 24, you know, put in a good 10 years chasing that, and gave it everything, and failed. Really just failed, you know. Had nothing to show for it, and I put everything into this again, got myself into debts, put all my chips down, and had nothing to show for it. And there was a point in my life where I was like, I have wasted my entire adult life. I have achieved nothing. I was sitting there and I had accepted failure. That was one of the most freeing things that ever happened to me, because I accepted that failure and I moved forward, and I had no real expectations of what wrestling was going to do for me and what it was going to mean for my life. I did it because I knew I would love it. I knew I would love it. I would love every single thing about it, because all I would do is I would watch wrestling all day long. You know, when I was at work, I would think about wrestling. When I was in situations where I was supposed to be listening to people talking, I would be thinking about, you know, German suplexes and, you know, that sort of thing. So I just knew that I would love it. And then when my confidence started to build a bit, I decided to go for it, and I said, you know what? My goal is to be the best in the business. My goal is to be number one. No one should have believed me. But there are a few people who did, you know. My mum, my dad, my stepdad, my brother. And the opportunity that I have and how far I actually really can take this. And now I do believe that I can get to the absolute top. I believe I can be number one. And if you pin Kurt Angle's shoulders to that mat, then it's a step in the right direction, that's for sure. Big step.